What happens when a small African nation dares to stand up against centuries of foreign control? When its leader refuses to bow, even in the face of international warrants? Today, you'll hear a story the mainstream media will never tell you. The story of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré, and a fight bigger than borders, the battle for Africa's future. My friends, listen carefully. A warrant has been issued. Interpol, an international body that claims to uphold law and justice, has targeted Burkina Faso's young leader, Ibrahim Traoré. On paper, it looks official. A signature, a stamp, a document from Europe. But let's ask, is this really about justice? Or is it about control? Traoré says it plainly. These papers are not weapons of law. They are weapons of fear. They want to intimidate him, and by extension, intimidate a people who have carried the scars of colonialism for centuries. But a paper can't silence the determination of a nation. A stamp can't erase a people's will. And this is where the real story begins. What if the so-called law is just a mask, hiding greed, fear, and desperation? When you hear the name Interpol, you imagine global justice, criminals being caught across borders. But in this case, the question is, who really benefits from this warrant? The answer points to old powers, France and its Western allies. For decades, France has seen Africa not as a continent of free nations, but as a treasure chest, gold, minerals, and resources waiting to be taken. Burkina Faso, Traoré's Burkina Faso, is rich. Gold, zinc, manganese, fertile soil. Resources that could transform the country into a powerhouse, wealthier than many Middle Eastern or European states. But history shows the same pattern. Western corporations take the resources. African nations are left dependent, chained to foreign banks, forced to beg for aid while their wealth funds someone else's prosperity. If Africa is so rich in resources, why are its people kept poor? The chains of dependency. The West doesn't only want minerals, they want control of money itself. The CFA franc, a colonial-era currency still tied to France, has acted like a leash, forcing African economies to remain chained to Paris. They want military bases too, under the name of protection. But protection for whom? For African citizens? Or for Western access to gold, oil, and strategic land? For years, leaders before Traoré played along. They signed contracts that enriched themselves but left their people in poverty. They shook hands in Paris and Brussels while selling off Africa's future. But now something has changed. Burkina Faso is saying, no more. What happens when a new generation of leaders refuses to be puppets? Traoré's government is pushing for something rare in African politics. Real independence. Not just words in a speech, but action on the ground. Factories are being built. Roads are connecting communities. Schools and hospitals are opening. Energy projects, solar, hydro, and more, are creating a foundation for growth. The plan is simple. Turn Burkina Faso's resources into wealth for its own people, not for foreign corporations. Every mine, every farm, every enterprise is a step toward freedom. And it's not just about money. It's about dignity. It's about proving that Africa does not need permission to stand tall, to innovate, to lead. This is not charity. This is not aid. This is self-determination. Let's remember history. Colonialism was not just about armies. It was about controlling information, culture, and even education. The colonizers wrote Africa's story, while Africans were told to remain silent today. Western influence still tries to divide Africa, tribes against tribes, nations against nations, so that unity never becomes too strong. They control narratives through international media. They shape economies through global banks. But Traoré is calling for something new. African nations writing their own story. African leaders uniting not under Western approval, but through solidarity with each other. Burkina Faso is forming alliances with neighbors, strengthening security without foreign bases, encouraging trade, innovation, and education across the region. What if Africa's future was no longer written in Paris, London, or Washington, but in Ouagadougou, Accra, and Bamako? Building for the people. This fight is not abstract. It is visible in daily life. Education. Schools and training programs are preparing a new generation to run industries, manage resources, and innovate. Healthcare. Clinics and hospitals are being built so no citizen is left behind. Energy. Renewable projects are ensuring factories, farms, and homes have power. Entrepreneurship. Young men and women are being empowered to build businesses, keeping wealth inside the country. This is what scares foreign powers the most. Not just a leader who speaks boldly, but a population that is learning, working, and building for themselves. Because once the people taste real independence, they will never go back. True independence isn't declared. It is built brick by brick, school by school, factory by factory. Every time a warrant is issued, every time propaganda is spread, every time threats are made, Burkina Faso doesn't weaken. It grows stronger. Because fear only works if people believe in it. And in today's Africa, millions are awake. They see that sovereignty is not a dream. It is possible. Yes, the West can issue papers, they can send threats, but they cannot stop a determined people from taking control of their future. How do you stop an idea whose time has come? This is bigger than Burkina Faso. It is about Africa's future. For too long, African nations were told they are weak, dependent, incapable of managing their own wealth. That narrative served those who benefited from African gold, oil, and labor. But today, a new narrative is being written. One where sovereignty means controlling resources, building industries, and investing in people. One where leaders are accountable not to foreign banks, but to their citizens. This is not the end of struggle, far from it. But it is the beginning of a new era. What does this mean for you watching right now? It means questioning the narratives you hear on mainstream media. It means recognizing that Africa's fight for independence is not just about borders, it's about dignity, justice, and equality in a world where power has been unbalanced for too long. Burkina Faso is sending a message. Africa will not bow. Africa will rise. And now the question is, will the world listen? Or will the same old powers try to silence it again? The story is not over. In fact, it has just begun. If you believe in freedom, in sovereignty, in nations choosing their own destiny, then share this story. Comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories that challenge the mainstream narrative. Because this isn't just about Burkina Faso, it's about the future of an entire continent.